Welcome to another edition of Boston Sports Nuts. We got a lot to cover this week. We got some baseball, some basketball. I'm Jim Russo with my good friends Paul Izzo. Paul, how are you?
Fantastic, boys. Ready to go.
All right. And Ken Berman.
Hey,
Oh,
guys,
Ken,
let's
how
go.
are you?
Nice to see
Okay.
everybody. Doing good. How you guys
Great.
doing?
I'm all right. Hey,
Nice.
listen, we got a lot of hoops. We got the Celtics. We're taping on a Wednesday. They're playing OKC tonight. We got the NCAA tournament. We got coaching changes at two of our alma maters. But tomorrow is opening day for the Boston Red Sox. So I think we should lead off with baseball here.
Yeah.
And they're playing at 4 o'clock, 4:10 at the Great American Ballpark against old friend Terry Francona and the Cincinnati Reds. So I'd like to get you guys' impressions of the Red Sox, you know, how they're coming out of spring training. And I can think of nobody better to start us off than the 2025 Cape Cod Baseball League Executive of the Year and current president of the YD Yarmouth Dennis Red Sox, Paul Izzo. Paul, tell us about the Boston Red Sox.
Jim, that's very kind. Thank you for the very kind introduction.
We know
2024 Executive of the Year.
Oh, I'm
Just-
sorry,
it's
2024.
all right. Yeah,
My mistake.
I don't want to besmirch the gentleman who won it last year.
Okay.
You know, I kind of like this team. I really do. I look down the lineup. I think they have. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the teams that they used to have back in the day. In the mid '60s, they had that changeover from the Jackie Jensen, Ted Williams era. And, by the late 60s, you get George Scott, Reggie Smith, Rigo Petrocelli, and a bunch of new guys come along. And then that happened in the 70s when you had Lynn and Rice and Burleson. And there have been other periods like that where little groups of young players came along. And, I look at this lineup now and I see a lot of potential. You've got Marcelo Meyer, he's 23 years old. You got Roman Anthony, he's 22 years old. You got Rafaela, who's 27. You got some good young pitching on the horizon. So where those guys end up in Red Sox history remains to be seen, but they've got a good mix. You got some veteran leadership with Contreras and Trevor Story, and the team overall seems relatively healthy. They have a little depth. We've complained in recent years that they don't have anybody to come off the bench. Well, they've got four legit outfielders. They've got Anthony Duran, Rafaela, Abreu. They got Yoshida. So, when you look at the offense, I think you've got some players there. And then you got the depth at starting pitching. You got Crochet, you got Suarez, you got Bale, Sonny Gray, you got Early, you got Toll, who might do something. So I'm very optimistic. I think the 87.5 preseason Vegas line is just about where I'd like to see them end up. High 80s, 90s might be a stretch. But no, I'm going into this season with optimism.
Good. Ken,
Um,
last week you were making a case for Conley Early and Peyton Tolley, and you got one of your wishes.
yeah, we got early.
Cora has said that Aviado, who could be the fifth starter, will piggyback with Suarez, since Suarez pitched in the WBC. So he will kind of be the long man for him to start. And starting the third game will be your guy, Conley Early.
Yeah, Conley early gets there. Totally doesn't. So Paul, a lot of things I tend to agree. Some things. Well, first of all, I have two questions. The season opens tonight with the Yankees and the Giants. You can't open up American League team with an American League team. I mean, the Yankees and Giants. I don't get that.
Ken, does this go with the 3-point shot in the 17th game?
No, I'm just saying I find that weird.
Because I kind of like it.
And the Red Sox are opening up against the Cincinnati Reds. Really, we couldn't open up against Baltimore or somebody like that I know. Or I'm sorry.
Ken. Can I tell you something? If you go to any kid today, and you ask about baseball, the initials they're using are MLB, not NL, not AL, MLB.
But it just seems to me when you open the season, it could be against like a rival or someone in your division or something.
How about
like
Terry
that.
Francona? I like that.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right, all right.
All right, let's go.
Okay,
Go
about
ahead.
the team. Here's some of my question. I'm with you, Paul. I'm optimistic. I like the team. I still have a question mark at catcher. I don't love their catching crew of Navarez and Wong. That doesn't do a lot for me. Now, here's some things that, looking at the opening day roster, that I don't know. I've never heard of Isaiah Kinar-Falefa or Andrew Monasterio. I don't know who Justin Slayton is, Greg Weissert is, Danny Coulombe is,
Ken,
Giovanni
Is
Moran.
this your idea of good sports radio here?
No,
the first guy played in the World Series last
He
year.
was for the Blue Jays.
yeah,
Yeah, Weiss had struck out Aaron Judge to beat the United States team
okay.
with the
I'm
tie
just,
and run on base.
you guys tell me that they're good. I'll believe you.
I didn't say they were good or bad, but that's who they are.
Yeah, Paul, if you go back to 1960s or 70s, you can probably name every player on the. I don't know, but I am optimistic because.
Even though
Okay,
you don't know the players, you're optimistic. I like it.
here's my
I do
question
too.
though.
Hey,
I have a question. If you were the manager, who would start in the field, Duran or Anthony?
Anthony.
Paul?
No, Anthony's got to play every day in the field. He's a budding superstar. He's not a DH.
He's 20. He's 21. He's got to play.
Okay,
He's going to be a star.
he's a better defensive player than Duran?
Probably slightly less. He's probably got a little better arm. Duran can cover more ground, but you're playing left at Fenway Park,
Right.
which means you're not covering much ground.
Yeah.
You got Rafaela next to you. Duran can play. He's going to play center field. He's going to play left field. And if Abreu, hopefully not, gets hurt, Duran will go back and play left field every day.
And if
Well, one of the
Rafaela,
things. Oh, go ahead, Ken.
if Rafaela doesn't hit, does that make Duran the center fielder? And
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
Three
It's
lefties in the
190.
outfield?
He's going to, yeah.
Okay.
I share you guys' optimism, and I compare this team actually, and it seems to be becoming a trend here. I compare them to the Patriots and the Celtics. I think they're going to be a fun team to watch. I don't think they're quite at a World Series winning level yet, but I think they're going to be fun to watch. They got a lot of players that are going to be fun to watch. I agree with Paul that they got depth this year. Bringing Yoshi off the bench I think is a big deal. And I think the pitching staff, they got 5 starters. Bayo's number 5 right now. Not that these numbers mean anything except for Crochet, but he's pitching the 5th game. You're going to have Tolley and Pawtucket ready to go. You got Cutter Crawford rehabbing. I never hear Tanner Houck's name, so I'm assuming he's going to miss another year. I guess I shouldn't assume, but I'm guessing I should say. But still, and the bullpen, they got a couple of lefties. The new guy, Columbine, is probably going to be on the roster. I think he's pitching today, in a simulated drill or something like that. So, my big question, or one of my questions would be, Chapman, can he duplicate what he did last year, which was just stellar? I'm not expecting him to be that great, but hopefully there's no fall off for a guy who's getting older, because that back end of the bullpen is great.
Hey, Gray's getting older too, so he's a question mark. But I like their starting pitching. Seems pretty good.
What I like is if Gray gets hurt, and I don't want that to happen, you've got 2, maybe 3 ready replacements to give you those innings. So,
yeah.
Paul, where do you think? I know we can't go through every team, but where do you think they stack up as far as making the playoffs?
We have a local sports radio guy who does tiers. I think they're in that second tier. You've got LA, the Yankees, Seattle, maybe Toronto is sort of at the top. And everybody loves to pick last year's teams.
Right.
And I think that if you look at the next level, you got maybe the Braves, the Phillies, the Mets, Tigers with that school of their pitcher. They could be in the hunt. I think they're in that. Orioles, maybe they had an off year last year. Maybe they climb back. I think they're in that second level. I think the key, if you think about how do the Red Sox get to the World Series, I think they have a very good shot of getting in the postseason. How do they get to the World Series? they got to have two legit starters. One of the things that we saw last year was when they got in that 3-game series against the Yankees, they were kind of scuffling there by the third game
Yeah.
Yeah.
to have somebody out there. And you look at Toronto, even though they didn't win the World Series, I mean, they had Shane Bieber, they had Max
Yeah.
Scherzer, they had, they had all these names. The Dodgers have guys they can trot out. That
Yep.
makes a big difference. Especially, I mean, if you only have the number one in Crochet, he cannot have a bad game. Like he has a bad game, then it's really tough. So
Yeah, and we
depth
see
is
that.
great. I was going to say depth is great, but you also need greatness. You need
Yeah,
two guys that are legit.
someone has to step up because we see often in the playoffs. I mean, even when the starting pitcher, the era we like, the Clemens versus whoever, Gidry, Pedro. Even then, the stud starter didn't win every game in the postseason. Right. Not everyone was Bob Gibson in '64 and '67 and 2/3 of '68. Not everyone was that.
Right.
So yeah, I agree, Paul. Someone has got to emerge as somebody that can pitch that second game, give them, God, I hate to say this, but 5 to 7 innings, and then do a third game and then run it around again. So what I think they have a good shot at, if they can get to the playoffs healthy, is if those pitchers do emerge. As we all see, in baseball, teams can win that may not be the best team. I mean, that Dodger-Toronto thing went down to the last out of the last game. Phenomenal World Series. So, and the Dodgers, most people would have, picked as the better team. So,
I mean, they spent the most money again in the. I mean,
yeah,
they have everything, and then they go buy everything else now.
Yeah, they got Tucker.
Yeah.
Which a show for another day. Unfortunately, I think is going to be the baseball labor problem because this whole Dodger issue is going to be a big issue. And hopefully we don't lose any part of the season, especially now. Baseball is on the rebound. The ratings for the World Series were great. The ratings for the WBC were relatively great. They have, if anyone watched the WBC, there's a ton of stars in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember 2 years ago watching the All-Star game just to watch it. It was middle of summer, nothing else going on. And while they're not as great as they used to be as far as competitiveness, they do compete. And I remember telling a friend of mine, I can't believe how many good players there are.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the one thing that's interesting about Major League Baseball right now is that the NBA likes to call itself a global sport, and it is, but it's principally North America and Eastern Europe, with some exceptions.
Yeah. So
maybe Spain, France a little bit. But if you look at baseball, it's truly global. I mean, we have tremendous contributions from Japanese, Asian players. We have tremendous contributions from South American players. We have Latin American players.
Mm-hmm.
It's really exploded around the world. And MLB, I don't know whether they've been able to capitalize it is a question, but it's really extraordinary how the game has changed.
Yeah, the two biggest differences are two of the places you mentioned, which is Japan, which the NBA is not, and Latin America. I mean, there's been some NBA Latin, but nothing on the star level of, South America, Argentina. They had a super strong Olympic team with Ginobili in those days, but they really haven't backed it up. So, yeah, I think it's great.
You brought up having a really good.
Is Argentina South or Latin? South, right?
South America.
I thought so. Okay, sorry. I wanted to get that right.
Venezuela, they
Yeah, Venezuela.
You were talking about, back to the Red Sox, you were talking about like who would be that second really good starter that you need, and when I look at the list, like who do you think? Like, who do we think it would be? Do we think we've seen the best of Bayo? Is he done getting better, or is he like,
I think
is Gray or Suarez a good enough number second guy?
It could be any of them. It could be Tolley. That's the beauty of the 162 determines.
So do we think they have, every one of the guys have the potential of being that good of a second, type of guy?
Potential? I think Gray and Suarez do. Suarez, his Cardinals loved Suarez.
Yeah.
They hated to lose him. And then the rookies, I don't know, but who would have thought the kid from Mass would pitch the third game of the Red Sox Yankee series and shut the Red Sox down? Who would have thought that at the beginning of the year? Oh, the guy that's going to get you to the next round is from Massachusetts. What? I mean, so you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
No,
So
Well, the funny thing about Bayo, when I look at him, he resembles Pedro Martinez.
right.
And he looks like a guy that can do it. I mean, I just pulled up his stats. He's had a winning record the last 3 years.
Yep.
ERA has hovered around 4 high threes. He's a decent starting pitcher in today's game. He's okay.
yeah.
Is he elite? He's still young.
Yep.
Maybe he becomes elite.
Because I think I put him in I think if someone's really going to emerge, it's someone like Bayo or Early or Tolley, more so than Gray, who's, I don't know. I know he's a good pitcher, but I don't see him at this age becoming much better than he's ever been.
Well, if you remember Red Sox history, whether it's Walker Buehler or Matt, what was the guy? Matt Clement. These guys that are like veterans that have established resumes, they're a bit of a crapshoot.
Yeah,
Walker Buehler flamed out. Matt Clement was okay. Didn't we have David Cohn for a year?
Yeah.
I mean,
Brett
1 year. Saberhagen,
Yeah.
like to get all these guys at the
I
end
believe
of it.
so.
I think we had Juan Marshall for a year,
Yeah, they did.
Like, I kind of put him in that category that maybe he'll help us out, maybe he won't.
All right. Yeah, I would agree with that. Okay, we got to move on to some hoops. We're going to obviously do a lot more baseball in coming weeks.
Go Sox. Let's go. Opening day, baby.
So,
bring it on,
tonight,
Red Sox.
The Boston Celtics, we're taping on a Wednesday night. They are hosting the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder, who've had a stellar regular season to back up their title. They have the best record in the NBA. They have the leading MVP candidate, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They look as good as ever.
Bet the house on the Celtics.
Ken, what'd you say?
Bet the house on the Celtics.
All right, Ken, you sent me some offensive numbers the other day since Jason Tatum came back. You want to run through that?
Okay. Hold on. You made some notations. Been very busy, boys. Very busy. Well, let's put it this way. Since Tatum's come back, their efficiency has gone from 4th overall in the NBA to 17th, I believe, as far as 100 100 possessions efficiency. But looking up stats today, for the season, they're actually very, very good. Let's see, I wrote it down. Here we go. Net rate, 2nd offense, 4th defense overall rating as far as the season goes. One of the things that's really weird about the Celtics, as I was looking up some stuff today, is they're like 29th in assists, 28th in steals, but they're 4th in rebounds per game. They have some really good numbers, but they have some really weird numbers that you would think and go, that team can't be good. Like, they never get a fast break ever. They're last in the league in fast break points. You know what I mean? So it's really a weird type of team. But I know we're talking about Tatum coming back. My hope is this, that they can smooth this out by the time the playoffs come. I'm just hoping there's enough games. I just don't know if there is. And I know, and Jim, you guys probably agree, the only way they're going to go far in the playoffs is if they figure it out and Tatum starts playing like Tatum. Because they're against the top teams in the West, they're like 0-7. You know what I mean? So it just shows you they really need a player like him to be good if they're going to compete with the best teams.
Yeah. Well,
I think when you say let's talk about the Celtics, I think you have to be clear. Not you, but one has to be clear. What are we talking about? To me, if you're talking about can this team win the championship, I say with a healthy Jason Tatum playing the best he can be expected to play going forward, it's still a long shot
Mhm.
because he didn't have the spring training or the summer training. They've struggled a little bit to get him back in the groove. The East has a couple of powerhouse teams they got to get by. And then the West looks to be very powerful, whoever comes out of there, most likely Oklahoma. Could be, God forbid, LA, but most likely Oklahoma. If you're talking about the return of Jason Tatum, then the only thing I want is happy talk. He appears to be healthy. He appears to be able to move around the court, play significant minutes. Is he his old self? No,
Nope. Not
but
yet.
that's not important. This is going to get all the rust off so that next year he
Okay.
can come back, have his regular routine, get in shape, and they can hit the ground running. If the old thing, if I had told you at the beginning of the year, Tatum will make it back, he'll get the rust off, they'll make a little bit of a run, and then he'll be ready for next year. When they were wheeling him off the court last May, you would have taken that.
Yeah.
Compare that to what they're dealing with in Halliburton in Indiana, where he's not coming back this year. Compare that to Kevin Durant, who was out for almost 2 years with his Achilles injury. So I think if you're talking about the Celtics as title contenders, I'm at. If you're talking about the return of Jason Tatum, then I'm happy to talk about the negatives, that he has struggled with his shooting, that he has disrupted the flow to some extent. Those things are all true, but I don't think they're really important. What's important is that he's healthy.
I agree. And I'll stick to, we didn't talk about it beforehand, but a prediction Paul and I made, which I think Ken agreed with on our prediction show, is that it will take some time for Jason Tatum to get simulated in the offense for various reasons. And they will probably go out in an early round. But Paul, I think the most, the thing I took about from what you said, to me, that is not a negative. The idea that he's going to come back and lead them to a championship with all these good teams, to me, is just, it's just too optimistic. It's unrealistic to expect that this guy, and you can throw Damian Lillard in there. He's not coming back this season.
Right.
To expect him to be at top form. I think the term he used the other day was he's trying to give himself a little grace as he tries to get back to being Jason Tatum. And I think you see it. And, we can go over it. He's shooting poorly from three.
He's taking a lot of them too.
I'm sorry?
He's taking a lot of three.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I have no idea, but, expect him to drive every play like Jaylen Brown is right now?
No.
I don't expect that.
No.
What I would like to see the Celtics try to do is try to vary the offense a little bit from this pick and roll with Kada. When that was KP, that's just, that's Jokic and Murray, because KP can hit a three from 35 feet. You don't have to cover Kada from 35 feet. You don't have to cover him for 20 feet. So everybody knows it's pick and roll. It's never going to be a pick and pop. I like the snap play when they run another action after that. But I'd also like to see something where Tatum and Brown are in the play together. And even if it's only for next year. But that's being picky. I think tonight at the Garden is going to be great. I mean, I don't expect them to win. If they win tonight, to me, that's a huge upset. You're talking about a team that's trying to incorporate a top 5, top 10 player who's, not at the top of his game against a team that went into Philly Monday night and blew them out.
Yeah.
Got a night off last night. They're not on a back-to-back. So, I got to favor
tonight. Tough
I'm
game
sorry?
tonight. Tough game tonight. That's a tough game tonight.
Yeah, so
OKC is the real deal. But Jim, Paul, the question is OKC the best team, or is the Spurs the best team? Because the Spurs have the best record since like February something.
I listen, Wemby is playing off the charts. He's an absolute force at his height that the NBA, I'm not sure they've ever seen. The block shots, first of all, are huge. Second of all, he can make a jumper. He can drive. he's just
Incredible.
an absolute force coming into his own. And he's what, 22? It's insane. And they've surrounded him. You know, they had a high pick. They got Stefan Castle, who's playing great. They had another high pick. They got second pick last year. They picked Dylan Harper, who's coming off the bench. I mean,
Yep.
they got a really, really good team.
They
They've
do.
beaten OKC, I think, what, 3 out of 4?
Yep.
They're a haul. They could win it all.
Oh,
I still favor
absolutely.
OKC, but they could win it all.
Hey, I think we mentioned this or we talked about it or maybe off air or whatever. The other thing about Tatum coming back now, and I mean, I think, listen, but he's doing some great things. His defensive rebounding is fabulous. His defense
Yeah.
has been really good. The thing is, like I think you said to me one time, Jim, these other guys are in NBA basketball full season shape slash like top of their game from being in that all season. You know what I mean? He's coming in now with 20 games left in the year and trying to catch up to where these guys all are. That's tough, even at his talent.
No
So
question.
and,
In an
and
NBA shape. And you see it with his timing sometimes. Like I've seen guys come down on the fast break against him. He can't guard them. They go by him. And that's his timing and his reaction and all that. You know, he's played in scrimmages, but he's never had in those scrimmages, you know, I don't know. This isn't the right guy, but Tyrese Maxey coming at him full speed in those scrimmages. So it takes a while. You know,
like
so I think, hey, you know, like, is it realistic, like in the second round, for them to beat the Knicks, who, you know,
7 in
had
a
a
row
good
Knicks.
year? I think the Knicks are going to finish second. They got a weaker schedule. They get the tie with the Celtics. I think they're going to finish second. They've played together all year. I think they've been fairly healthy.
Yep.
Is it realistic for a Celtics team trying to incorporate this guy who's great into the team this late to beat a Knicks that are playing like this in a 7-game series? I don't think so.
They've won 7 in a row, the Knicks.
Yeah, they're playing
They're
great.
playing their best basketball now is when, if
Yeah.
you're a good team, when you should.
I just
Yeah, they
wanted to
probably
weigh
want
in
to
on
finish second.
I just wanted to weigh in on the West. I'm a firm believer in the ladder theory. I think that San Antonio's got to climb that ladder a little higher this year before they get to the very top of the West. There's a lot of things that can happen. You've got Denver, you've got LA, you've got to get by Oklahoma. They may not have to play all those teams, but they're going to have to play some of them. And until they establish that they can go deep in the West, I don't see them coming out of the West. As for
Well,
the
go ahead.
okay, no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's a great point
Yeah.
because
There
let's
is no
say the
ladder.
standings ended today and the first round held, which of course that might not happen. They would play LA in the second round. Now, they probably have a better team, but you're right. They have not played a series against LeBron James and Luka Doncic.
Right.
No. And they're
That's a
playing
hurdle
well.
to get
LA's
over.
playing well. I hate to say it, but they're
I'm
playing
sorry?
well. I hate to say it, but LA's been playing well lately.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, so it's a great point you make, and it's why I still favor. One of the reasons I still favor OKC. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there.
No, it's okay. I was going to say, as far as the Celtics prospects in the East, again, if they get to the second round of the playoffs, as you pointed out, and assuming that it's the Knicks and they lose, if Tatum comes out of that series healthy and available to play summer ball, this year was a win,
Yeah,
a big time win.
absolutely.
And first of
Absolutely.
all, they found out that they have some other guys that can play.
Right.
Yes.
They found out that Keita is a legit center in the NBA.
Yes.
I mean, he is.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of teams would, somebody, I forget who it was the other night, might have been Van Gundy, who said, where do they get all these guys?
Right.
Yeah.
Where do they get Pritchard? Where do they get
Love it.
Keita? Where do they get Jordan Walsh? Where do they get Hugo Gonzalez?
Well,
Like,
Shireman's the real deal.
that's exactly right.
Yeah, how
Shyman
wrong
may
was
be the
I on
biggest
that one?
surprise of them all.
How wrong was I on that one? And Jordan Walsh can't get off the bench now with Tatum back,
right.
which
No.
I thought he played well when he was playing.
Yeah.
But I understand the minutes thing. Somebody's got to, lose
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Hey.
And Garza contributes. So they have
He does.
they've
Yeah.
made a lot of
He does.
additions, and most of them have worked.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Hey, one thing about the Lakers, which I was happy to see, um, they went into Detroit. Detroit does not have Cade Cunningham, and uh, the Pistons beat them 113-110. And as wrong as I was about Shireman, and I'll admit it, when people I think Paul asked me last week, did I think First was in play? And I resoundingly said no. The Pistons, I think, have won every game since Cunningham went
Right.
down.
Yeah.
First place
Unbelievable.
never in play. So I'm 1 for 2, 500.
Mhm.
I know we're going to jump soon, but I, looking at stats about the Celtics is so interesting because they're third in the league in second chance points, but 27th points in the paint in the league. So to me, they're 21st in field goal percentage. They're fourth in threes made, but 13th in field goal percentage. So it's just weird that they score a lot of second chance points, but they're 27th overall in points in the paint.
Yeah, well, they're a better offensive rebounding team maybe than defensive rebounding team because Gaza is a much better offensive rebounder than
And I
defense.
thought that between Brown and Pritchard, they were scoring a lot of points in the paint, I thought, but obviously
yeah.
not as many as we thought.
The other stat you mentioned was 29th in assists. That
Yeah.
just shows how much of an ISO team they still
Yeah.
are. They are really an isolation team. But all right, we got to get moving on.
Yep.
We're going to go to the NCAA tournament now, guys. I personally feel that as we go forward this weekend, that a lot of the chalk is going to hold. In the West, I really like Arizona. In the Midwest, I like Michigan, both number 1 seeds. In the South, I like Houston, who is virtually playing at home. Chris Russo had a nice little, not full out rant on this, but mini rant. They're playing at the Toyota Center, which I was recently at to see the Celtics win without Jaylen Brown and a few others. So in what time we have left, I want to focus on the East because a lot of people are. This is not novel, all right? Because whether these are the best teams or not, it is certainly the best for television and the most interesting. So, and last week, I kind of triggered a debate between you two gentlemen on how you can claim a team, which we're not going to have the debate again. But
why not? Let's have it again.
well, we're gonna have it incorporated in covering the regional. Okay.
Okay.
So, under the legendary Berman theory of rooting, we have a lot of connections to this regional that everyone's talking about. So let me run it down. Duke, Paul Izzo, if I am not mistaken, your daughter is an alumni of Duke University.
She is former class president.
Former class president of Duke. Okay.
We're in.
Okay. St. John's, former Providence College coach for me, who is one of only 2 coaches, along with Dave Gavitt, in our history to take us to the Final Four. Okay? Michigan State. Paul, true or false? Are you or are you not related to Tom Izzo?
When they win, I am.
Okay. I'll
Good
take
answer.
that. I like that
Yeah.
answer. And
Yeah.
finally, Ken Berman.
Hmm.
Your daughter graduated from UConn, I believe.
Yeah, my Huskies.
Okay. So
I did not say my Duke Blue Devils.
You did not. You did not. So, Ken, let's start with you. Do you like UConn coming out of this regional that everybody's talking about and everybody wants to watch on TV?
As much as I like them, I don't think they're the best team in that East. I'm sorry. I just don't think they. I've watched a lot of them this year. Something about them that doesn't give me confidence they're coming out of the East.
Who do you like then?
Well, by the way, Patino put a whooping on him the last time he played him, right?
Yeah, but they beat Patino. I mean, it's 2-1. Yeah.
Yeah. Who are my other choices? Duke. Yeah, I'd pick Duke.
All right, Paul. Any thoughts? You got a couple of connections here.
Well, no, I think if you look at what's happened in recent years in the NCAA tournament, there always are going to be upsets early. but the number 1 and number 2 seeds tend to make it to the Sweet 16, Elite Eight, and then the Final Four. I think last year, didn't we have 4 number 1 seeds, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes.
I mean, at least 4 very high seeds. I think Duke is very, very tough. Michigan State, I think, is a bit of a long shot. I think Duke comes out of the East, frankly.
Yeah.
Much as I hate to say it, because even though my daughter went there,
Yeah.
Ann was class president.
I am not a fan. By the way, when she
Uh,
gave her address at graduation,
Yep.
Coach K tweeted that he liked it.
Awesome. That seriously is awesome. Congratulations to her
Thank you.
in all sincerity. All kidding aside, that's great. Paul, I'm going to give you some hope. St.
Thank
John's
you.
right now, I think, is the best defensive team in the country. They are, you guys read my text about the Celtics and teams playing them in their grills and in their shirt. And I get frustrated when the Celtics don't play that kind of defense, especially down the stretch. St. John's is doing that. And sometimes they're doing it all over the court. Sometimes they do it half court. I think they're going to give Duke all they can handle. And Pitino, you know, I've heard several people recently, and again, take aside whether you guys like them or not.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, if you had one game to win, that's the guy you want. I'm not saying he's a miracle worker. He's lost plenty of times in the tournament, but he's always in it.
Yeah.
He's taken, this is like his 5th or 6th team, I think, to the tournament. I think they got a legit shot to upset Duke. In the other game, I'm kind of with Ken. This is not the best UConn team of Danny Hurley era.
No.
Now, having said that, I don't think this is the best Michigan State team of the Tom Izzo era.
Right.
So I think this game is getting a lot of attention, frankly, because of their coaches. You've got 2-time champion in Danny Hurley. You've got, you know, Tom Izzo's a 1-time champion, but he could easily be more. And his teams are so well coached and they're always in it.
17 Sweet 16s.
17 Sweet 16s.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
This guy,
Oh,
you've
he's a
got
great coach.
Izzo in the Hall of Fame, Pitino in the Hall of Fame. Hurley's a lock for the Hall of Fame. And John Shire's kind of in the beginning of his career, but
It's a good coach.
he could make it too. So I think the region's getting a lot of coverage because of its coaches. So
But that's true of a lot of
College,
NCAA college teams in the tournament.
but boy, you got a Sweet 16s with 3 Hall of Fame coaches. That's pretty good, Ken.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Jim, you'll find this funny. So my neighbor is a New York native. So
Yep.
he gets the New York Post every day.
Right.
And when he's done reading it at around 11, he leaves it on my front doorstep.
Oh, nice.
So I get the New York Post and I love the sports section. It's very old school, lots of columns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been a lot written about Rick Pitino in the New York Post. He's a big story in New York.
Yeah.
He is a tough SOB. Like the players are very candid about it. He doesn't
Yeah.
tolerate losing. He gets in their face. He punishes guys. He's really, really difficult to be around. I don't know if he was like that at Providence, but that's the reputation he has now. These guys play scared for him. They do. It seems to be working. It's particularly it's effort shows up on defense. We all know that.
Absolutely.
And he's a tough guy to go up against. I agree with you.
Jim,
Tough guy.
that's his MO. His teams play that kind of defense wherever he went. Even the Knicks did it in the NBA.
You know, people say he was a failure as a pro coach, and I always say he was a failure as a Celtics coach.
Yeah.
He was not a failure as a Knicks coach. He was a success.
No, he was not.
I clearly remember, Ken, I'm sure you guys do too, that Pitino press in the pros, giving the Celtics in the playoffs all they could handle.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Celtics weren't used to seeing that kind of pressure in that era at half court or full court. And he really gave them all they could handle. Yeah, I saw that, Paul, not to the extent you read about it, but one of his players came on after and somebody asked him a question. And they said, what did Rick say to you or something at some point? Maybe it was the guy that hit the winning shot. And he goes, he probably yelled at me. I don't think it was about the winning shot, but
Yeah,
Or maybe
tough
it was,
guy.
but yeah, that's interesting to hear because I didn't realize it was that extent.
You know,
Go ahead, Ken.
I will say a lot of times I don't like watching a game that let's say a regular season college game, St. John's is on a Tuesday night against somebody. I
Yeah.
don't always find it enjoyable to watch because of his maniacal defense and the other. There's like he doesn't let the other team breathe, and sometimes I'm like, oh, I can't watch. I can't watch.
Now that's interesting you say that, Ken, because number one, his team's biggest weakness is 3-point shooting.
Right.
Okay. And the last Connecticut St. John's game, I was thinking of you because both big men were playing in the post and making post moves against each other.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this is old school basketball. They're
And
feeding
it's
it to
funny
the big
'cause
man,
Petit-
and there's a good big man guarding him. And so, no, but I get what you're saying. I get what you're
And
saying.
Jim, you pointed out Patino is like the first guy to take advantage of the 3-point line.
That's the irony. And Steve
Yeah.
Lapis said last year, he went up to him and goes, "This is you," or something like that. Because if he is the first coach, Dean Smith said when they put it in, somebody's going to figure out how to use this and take advantage of it. It was
It was
Rick Pitino
Pitino.
at Providence College. And
Hey,
he took us to
can I make a prediction in college basketball?
yeah.
Everybody knows Hubert Davis of North Carolina just got fired.
Yes, he did.
I'm predicting Bruce Pearl will be the next head coach.
Wow. From Sharon, right?
Sharon, Massachusetts.
All
Why would
right.
he do that? He's retired.
Yeah. North
Seems to be-
Carolina. He'll be on heat on
Oh, I think they're going to go young. But anyway, in coaching news, Jim, are we going to get into that a little
Yes,
bit?
right now. We got about 6 minutes left. So two of our alumni schools here have made coaching changes. So I'll kick it off and then kick it to Paul. But Providence College, after 3 years, it came English, and it was very expected after this season. That team did not play together, were terrible on defense, and did not see a pass they liked, frankly. They brought in Brian Hodgson. The last 3 years, he's been a head coach, 2 different schools. He's had a .654 winning percentage. He has 70 wins. He has 25 in his last 2. He's won his conference. I think it was Arkansas State, but he comes from South Florida, I believe. And he has 12 former players who've made the NBA. And last 2 seasons, he's won 2 championships regular season. So I don't know a lot about him. I think it's a good hire. He had his introductory press conference yesterday. I think it went well. And it had to be done. And, you get a new coach. It's a new era. His first will be, they got a couple of promising freshmen. One's already in the portal. He's a good recruiter. He has been. So that's his first job, is to keep 2 to 4 of the current players. So that's PC. Now let's go to Syracuse, Paul, your school,
Which I actually attended.
You did attend, and you were there for the Pearl Washington era, which was a great time to be there. Syracuse has hired an alumni who, by the way, almost beat Duke, Jerry McNamara. So what do you think of that? He was a great player, great shooter.
Yeah, Jerry McNamara was the Peyton Pritchard of that 2003 championship team that featured Carmelo Anthony.
Yep.
Right.
And, he had a great career at Syracuse. He was a tough, little guy, great, great player, one of the personal favorites of Syracuse fans. Went on later to become an assistant under Jim Boeheim. And then I think there might have been some winking and nodding. When Boeheim retired, he went off for 2 years to head coach at Siena to get that, which is a good program. Made one of the 2 years he was there, they made the tournament, lost in the first round. So yesterday I get an email from Jerry McNamara, Syracuse alum, asking for an NIL donation. So I actually made a donation.
There you go.
Hey, good for you, Paul. We went there. I make a donation to PC. I mean,
it was not very big, but hey, they
Same.
asked.
Same.
But they asked, and so I threw a few dollars in.
All right, great.
Yeah,
Who did he replace?
I think hey, look, I'm not, I don't follow as closely as I do, but I do. I think it's a great hire.
Yeah,
And I hope they come back. I've always been a Syracuse fan. I hope they come back.
Yeah, now, you've brought up many times the Rick Pitino, Gordy Chiesa story. For those that don't know it, to be the guy that follows the legend is never a good idea. You want to be the guy that follows the guy that follows the legend.
Right.
You want to be the second after. They had this guy, Adrian Autry, after Boeheim left, didn't work out or not to their satisfaction. So
Right.
now they've brought in a guy. You don't know what's going to happen. Syracuse has not had that same magic since they left the Big East.
No.
It's a
No.
great facility. The Carrier Dome draws a lot of attention, but that sparkle that was in the stands in the Jim Boeheim Big East era has been tough to replicate,
Yeah,
and they've
I
still been
agree.
chasing that.
I agree. I hope they come back. Ken, are UConn making any coaching changes?
I think Hurley's going to stick around.
Yeah, I would say that too. One other thing about Brian Hodgson, he coached Arkansas State and, as I said, University of South Florida. There's a little bit of a Marx Brothers connection there. He graduated from Fredonia State. Are you Marx Brothers fans?
Oh, yeah.
So
To war,
let's see.
but don't you
Okay,
stop.
we got a minute left. Any final thoughts, Ken?
Any final thoughts from me, Jim?
Yeah, from you. You're Ken, right?
Yeah. No, I would just say I'm excited that baseball is starting, and I'm really hoping for the Red Sox to have a great season because the summer is always so much better when they're in it.
Paul?
I'm really interested in baseball this year, more so than in recent years. I think I got fired up by the WBC. I'm really curious to see how managers handle this new automatic ball strike
Yeah.
device, and when they use it. And some players are saying they're never going to do it. Others are saying they're not going to do it. It's going to be a real thing for fans to sink their teeth into. Oh, we should have challenged that,
Yeah.
or we shouldn't have challenged it. We didn't have it in the ninth inning. It's
Right.
just going to be one more fun thing. And I'm going to give credit to Mad Dog Russo. Most of the changes that Major League Baseball has made in recent years have improved the game.
Yep.
He said that yesterday. I agree 100%.
Mhm.
I like the
Yep.
ghost runner. I have no interest in staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning for a regular season game. I like the pitch clock.
Oh,
I
pitch
like the
clock's the
3
best.
batter minimum. I like those things. The rule change nobody's talking about is the base coach has to stay in the box.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yep.
No more running down the line or peeking at
Right.
the glove and all that
Good.
stuff. So,
good.
Yeah,
No
good
more.
points. My final thought is, Providence College, just hired Brian Hodgson. Obviously, this year they're on the outside looking in of all postseason tournaments, not just the NCAA. But Friday night, 5:00, the best coach maybe on PC's campus, or probably definitely, Nate Lehman, who's won a national hockey championship with Providence College. I went to the celebration at Schneider Arena. PC will open the NCAA tournament at 5:00 on Friday. So best of luck to the hockey Friars in the NCAA tournament. And that wraps up another episode of Sports Nuts. We'll be back soon, and we'll probably be talking about a lot of the baseball things that Paul just talked about, including the effect of that challenge, which I think we probably will be talking about that a lot. So for Paul Izzo and Ken Berman, this is Jim Russo, and for our producer, Evan Codamino, thank you, Evan. Goodbye from Boston Sports Nuts.
See you next time.
Thank you for watching Boston Sports Nuts. You can find all of our episodes available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. For more information, go to westwoodmediacenter.tv or follow Boston Sports Nuts on Facebook, Instagram, and X.